Hey everybody, yes, welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by the great Chris Schaefer. Chris, how's it going today?
Doing great, Jason. How are you?
Doing
Looking
excellent.
looking
Thank you.
spiffy in your white shirt. So professional.
Thank you.
So glad to have you. I remember the days, Jason, when we didn't run quite so professional of a show. Things have changed. You look good. You regularly cut your hair and trim your beard now. Just 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 brought it up in the world.
It's on the calendar. It's part of
Yeah.
the business.
Wow.
Full blown executive. Yeah. I
Wow.
worked for a guy once, small company, 10 people, and
Yeah.
it was his company and we were his world. We were all living in it. And on the shared company calendar was his haircut every 2 weeks because he would go out and sell new clients. And
Had to
taught
look
me
good.
it's part
Yeah.
of the business. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
don't
not just looking good for women out there like your wife.
Mm.
It's also so I can sign up new clients and look
Yeah,
professional for the world. Yeah.
right, for
What
the
about
world
you?
too.
How are you looking for your wife?
Um,
Three strikes, you're out. I mentioned her twice. I'm not going to mention her again this
that's it.
quarter. That's the
That's
rule. Three mentions a quarter. So used up two of them. I only got one more for
one more.
Q4.
Surprise us.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you? How are you looking in your own estimation?
I knew we were doing podcasts today, and since we are on YouTube now, despite my pleas, to not do YouTube, we are doing YouTube, and I picked this shirt because I thought, you know what, today I want to look like a janitor, and I think this really pulls it off. It's got that like janitor look, that green kind of uniform. You kind of wonder if it's if it goes all the way down, it's like a onesie.
Yeah.
You can't see the bottom half. You kind of wonder,
That's what I'm wondering about.
is that a onesie
Yeah.
that he's wearing? It looks like a name tag here, but it's just the, brand. But it looks like it could say Chris Schaefer, head janitor.
When did you get this shirt? What year? Do you remember?
Last year, probably.
Good. Feeling a little snug, a little tight yet? Or still feeling good? I'm just asking.
It's very loose. No,
Good, good. Yeah, we've made, I and the audience together, we made fun of you on this podcast in episodes past about your shirts from like 2012, 2014, 2008. But that's really a compliment to you that they still fit so well.
Yeah. No, I recently cleaned my whole closet out and got rid of the ones that, that I can still wear. They still fit, but they have holes.
Cleaned out your closet.
I did.
What prompted that?
I just couldn't find a hanger anymore.
Mm.
I could not. I was like, what the heck? I can't even, like, I'm having to trade this shirt when I put it on and put on one that's on, sitting on the cabinet and to hang that one up.
Yeah.
So it's just going, one for one kind of trade. It's ridiculous.
It's time to let some stuff go.
Yeah. They're so soft. When you wear them for like 10, 12 years, they're just so soft. They're so comfortable.
Did you buy some new clothes or did you?
No,
you're just going to go through what you have.
I just threw what I had away.
Good.
Logo tees. I used to wear a lot of logo tees.
Yeah.
With like sarcastic sayings on them. You remember, I've worn them on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I got rid of that one that you hated so much that said the book was better. I used to wear that one on the show.
I don't even like hearing that.
Yeah,
you're past that phase of your life. You want to blend in now when you're out in public.
Jason,
lay back.
Yesterday I turned 42.
Really? Happy birthday, Chris. I didn't know it was your birthday.
Yeah, because I don't, I'm not a millennial. I don't need verification, but validation, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm past the point of wearing logo tees. 42-year-olds shouldn't wear logo tees. It's getting to that point where I shouldn't even wear shorts anymore. You get like, old men just
I'm
like
there too. Yeah.
Pants all the time.
Yeah.
It's approaching. It's like I feel
it's hot though. What do I do when it's hot? What do you do?
You do like all the other. You just get that wet sloppy.
You don't go outside. You just go from the
shirt.
No. You don't go outside. You go from the limousine to the private jet to the boardroom.
That's what
to the vacation home.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what you do.
No manual labor. Just
42. Any other thoughts other than it's time to change my t-shirts? I mean, this is a big milestone. 40 sounds like a milestone, but honestly, 42, honestly.
Let's not.
Don't dwell. Okay.
No, yeah.
Don't dwell. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a real question? sincere.
Okay.
Do you feel 42? Do you feel like the middle-aged guy in the room, or do you still feel like a young man when you're out and about?
I'll tell you what, at CrossFit, I feel like an old man.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
My normal life, no, I don't. But when I go to CrossFit and those 20, 30-year-olds are just bouncing off the walls and I'm still grinding through my first set, I'm kind of like, yeah, feeling old.
Okay.
It hits. But
Just
then I
curious.
get home and, I'm the strongest one in the house. I got a house full of girls, so I can out.
I know,
everything.
but when you think of yourself, do you think of yourself as like a 25, 30, 28-year-old?
No.
Because you don't. Okay.
Much smarter than that.
Yeah.
I feel wiser than a 20-year-old. Don't feel strong.
But do you feel like if you think of 42-year-old guy and whatever comes in your head right there, above the fold, below the fold, whatever you're thinking of.
Right.
Do you feel like that guy or do you feel younger? Because I feel younger than my age.
I feel like 42 is not as old as I thought it was.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Like 42 when I was 20 was like, oh, wow. 40. So, wow. Grandpa.
Yeah. Gray beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even really have gray hair. I don't even have any of that. And
I saw something about your hair today before the show. I've got one chambered.
Oh.
I've got one chambered.
You've got one.
I thought about using it today based on what you said on the air last week. Yeah, based on what you said, that I've thought about every second of every day since then. Based on what you said, yeah. But don't worry, I've got one chambered about you.
I didn't listen to the podcast, so I don't know if you kept that in or not.
Don't throw stone. I keep everything in. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you don't. Maybe it's been a while.
If I was a glass house, would I still be on this podcast? I don't think so.
No, you're tough. I'm tough.
I'm tough.
Yeah, we're tough.
Tough.
All right.
I appreciate you handling that.
But Chris, myself,
well you did.
We've got thick skin. You gonna make another joke?
No, that was it.
Okay.
I've only made that joke like once. I think that was it.
Well, I've got one chambered.
I wouldn't expect any less.
Yeah. Last question about this. I'm 34, Chris. When I think of a 42-year-old that's only 6 years away or 8 years away from me, 8 years flies, as we talked about last week.
Yeah.
I don't see myself as 40, even though I'm I'm going to be close pretty soon. When you think of a 50-year-old guy, there's no way you can think that's you. Yeah. But you're 8 years away from 50. I'm 8 years away from 42. It's just, I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like my question is, at what point in time when I see the older guy and like an older guy, like maybe it's age 60 or something, but just driving a sedan, wearing a sweater, gray hair, a lot less hair, glasses maybe. And I think, oh, that's a man. Like that's an older gentleman. Like when am I going to feel that way? Because I don't even think I'm even close to that yet. And I feel like I feel closer to someone in their 20s, even though I feel much smarter and wiser. So like, there's no way you could think, yeah, I'm almost 50.
It's when the young people like isolate you and suddenly you're the joke that you used to make. That's the difference.
Maybe it's health, and maybe you just feel like an old. I'm not saying like get old like it's a bad thing. I'm saying feel like an older person. Maybe it's overnight one day when you just feel differently physically. I don't know, but I'm waiting for that moment. I'm waiting for that moment where I feel like an older guy.
When you start to feel like whatever the young kids are talking about, you not only do you not understand it, but you don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it kind of feels like, you start, like I'm here, and I'm accepting it because I have no interest in the stuff that the kiddos like. I'm not really into it.
Okay.
The ticks and the talks and the it's just like not only
ticks and the talks and the bits and the bots.
I don't even have interest. I don't care, and that's where I'm like, yeah, okay, so I'm here.
I think I watch a lot of like YouTubers who are in their mid-20s, and I think I'm just not even getting exposure to people who are younger than that. And so maybe I'm just oblivious to the way the world is for a big
it's already
portion
happening.
of the world. Yeah.
See, this is the time
I'm old and I don't know it.
This is the time you'll become ignorant to it. And then when you see it again, you'll say, I don't understand that, nor do I even care. And then you're there.
Yeah.
You made it. You're on your way, Jason. You're on your way.
One final thing. One final thing. Just want to bring up with you. Yeah. One final thing.
Okay.
And we don't have to go into details because we're not going to, Chris.
Okay.
But you know how everyone is like, oh my gosh, the world is going to crap and blah, blah, blah,
Sure.
standards and all that.
Since I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, obviously you agree with it because look the frick around. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's always
how could you say anything different? But in terms of speaking about not caring,
yeah,
I do have this thing in the back of my head that's going, no, they've literally been saying this. Every generation has been saying this about the previous generation.
Yep.
This intensely, with this much feeling, since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And things have just overall health, wealth, peace. Overall, things have gotten pretty much better. Yeah, we're still here. Yeah. And so I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of feel that way.
That's good. Believe it or not, that sounds like a negative thought, but that's actually very positive.
No, it's an I don't care about what am I going to do? Save the world? I got it enough problems. I'm just going to try to do good on my own and set a good example. Yeah.
I got to remember to help my wife empty the dishwasher or she's going to be mad. How am I going to solve all the other things?
She's been complaining about that lately.
I know. She's been telling you too, I bet.
Used up my third one. Yeah, for the quarter. Yep, that was it.
We're clear.
That was it. Well, Chris, speaking of wondering about what's going on in the world, there's I don't know what percent of the audience, there's a portion of the audience that's wondering what the Google Ads topic is going to be about today.
Probably are.
So why don't you preview that and then share some words about Up to You, and then we'll get into the episode.
Yeah. So today we are starting a 2-part series that spawned because of a bigger topic. Okay. So how do you lower your cost per conversion is what we're talking about, and that is such a big question. There is not a single discussion to be able to answer that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to break it into 2 parts. Part 1 this week is about paying less per click. That is one way to lower your cost per conversion. We're going to discuss, okay, how do you do that? How do you lower your cost per click? Then next week, we're going to talk about the other side of lowering your cost per conversion, which is improving your conversion rate. That's the percentage. If you're getting a 1% conversion rate, how do you get it to a 3%, a 5%? And that would effectively lower your cost per conversion. So that's what we're talking about today. And before we jump in, I want to tell you about a great option to help you do all the things that we're talking about and do them in a streamlined, easy way. Optio.com/PSP. If you go to that URL, you can take advantage of the best offer that they have, period. There's no other offers out there as good as this. You get to try the tool completely risk-free. No money exchanged at all. Try this entire tool, not a demo option, not a limited option, the full tool, and all the things that we've recently talked about just this past week. We talked about some of the new reporting features that are on this tool. And it's going to keep growing. There's more things coming. And the amazing offer that they're giving is to try this Google Ads specific management tool for free for 2 months. If you go to optio.com/PSP, you can accomplish more in less time. And you can pretend you're young again.
That's what we all want to do here, Chris. So, talking about the math, you want to lower your cost per conversion. It's got to be paying less per click or increasing your conversion rate. Today's about lowering your cost per click. But before we get into how to lower your bids, my question to you, Chris, is who are we talking to here? Are we talking to people that are happy with their Google Ads performance, people who are not happy, like people who think they're close? What's the scenario here where when you, Chris, are managing an account, when the thought, I need to lower my cost per conversion, is that beyond I need to get conversions? Are you getting conversions and now you just need to get the cost dialed in?
Right.
Where are we at?
Yeah, it's a good question. And you're absolutely right. Who we're talking to are people that have at least established some level of success in Google Ads. So if you're already lost, a conversion is when someone takes some kind of monetary value action on your site. If you're e-commerce, if you're selling t-shirts, they bought a t-shirt. If you're a plumbing company, they called you and booked an appointment. If you are a dentist, they called and booked a consultation, a cleaning. If you're a lawyer, they've spoken with one of your intake people, and established a relationship. So they've taken some kind of step that is of value. It's essentially the first step, or for e-commerce, it's the last step. They purchased. And once you've established that, you now create a hunger. You create a hunger for more of that at a less expensive rate. So if you're paying $50 for every phone call that you're getting on average over the past 3, 4, 5 months, now you say, well, I wonder if I can get that down to $40. That would really help my bottom line to get that to a $40 cost per phone call. How can you do that? If you're selling t-shirts at $15 a pop, you're like, this is good, but I'm really kind of breaking even. I need to take that down to $12, $10. How can I do that? That's what we're going to talk about. As I discussed, we're going to say this first conversation is entirely focused on the first half of accomplishing that, getting your cost per click lower.
Okay, so I'm targeting keywords. Those keywords are generating conversions. Those conversions are generating business. I just want to pay less for those conversions on these keywords.
That's it.
Your first option to pay less on those keywords, it's one of my favorites because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Lower the bids.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a problem here because manual versus automated. How does that play a role here?
Yeah. So, Jason, we can't live ignorantly and assume that everyone's running manual. You're not running manual all the time. I'm not running manual all the time. Sometimes you just literally don't have an option. So stay tuned. We're going to go in to some other scenarios about how to accomplish this. But first, let's just speak to the basics. Let's assume you're running max clicks, or you're running search impression share, target search impression share, I should say,
okay.
Or you're running manual. You're running one of those three where you have a direct option to control your cost per click. My suggestion, Jason, happy to hear what you think, but I think small increment changes is a better option than big jumps. I don't think that you should say, you know what, I did some math, and in order to get $10 conversions, I just need to drop my bids 52%. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to go
so
straight.
If your cost per conversion is say your cost per conversion is $50, you want your cost per conversion to be $25. Your cost per click is $10. To lower your cost per conversion by 50%, assuming your conversion rate is going to stay the same. People who are doing manual, people who are doing max clicks with a limit in place, the temptation, and there's pros and cons to it, but the temptation would be to just cut the bids in half. Whether it's on manual, you take that $10 cost per click max CPC bid down to $5, or on your limit on maximize clicks, you just take that down by half. That's simple. You're not rocking the boat with anything else. Why don't you start there?
Google Ads is a giant system of risk. That's what I would say why you don't do it. You don't take too much risk too quickly. Anyone who has a successful Google Ads campaign treats it like a baby. I mean, you have to take care of it. You
like
don't
dynamite.
Yeah. Okay. I've never handled dynamite. I assume most of our listeners have handled a baby, but dynamite's okay. We can go with that. You don't take unnecessary risks. You change things incrementally. You change things in small little steps and little ways. And instead, as Jason provided in the math equation there, you want to get to that point, but take a smaller step in slowing those costs per click.
It's time for the Lost Fan Show segment of the Paid Search Podcast.
Oh, good.
Remember on Lost, they found
Smoke monster.
the shipwreck, and they found all the dynamite in there, and they had to be very careful when they handled it because it could be very helpful to them, and they wanted to get it. But it's like when you're moving it around, it's old and it could blow up anytime. Do you remember that part of the show?
Yep, I do.
And that was your Lost segment of the Paid Search podcast, the Lost fan segment. So you think taking a $10 bid down to $5 is too risky? And what would the risk? What would the risk be?
The risk is that you basically bottom out your bidding threshold. You basically stop spending your budget, and whatever level of success you had, whatever position that was getting you the right amount of clicks, the right kind of traffic, you undercut that so much that now you're showing below organic, or some competitor that actually has a better price is now showing above you, and now you're losing your conversion rate because people are going to that ad instead of yours. There's all kinds of reasons why that might happen.
We all know click-through rate is relative to the position of the ad when it comes to quality score, so you don't get dinged if you have a lower click-through rate when your position goes lower, but you may lose some action that could influence the results in terms of your ad rank, and then it may be hard to get that ad rank back. The one thing I'd throw out there, Chris, the one thing I would throw out there is you don't have to go from $10 bid to $5 bid. You don't have to drop it by 50%.
Right.
Personally, for me, I do like focusing on the keyword bid before going into device and audience and those kind of things, because it's so one for one. Like if I pay lower cost per click, this keyword that generates conversions should still continue to generate conversions, but at a lower cost per conversion. But I agree with you in the sense that there is massive risk there, because the fundamental truth of Google Ads, like we talked about last week, if you're not at the top, you're not going to get traffic. And beyond that, in different industries, there's some nuances about better quality traffic coming from higher positioned ads. And so you just may lose a lot. And so if you need to drop your bids by 50%, or your goal for your cost per conversion is 50% lower, I am looking at that keyword bid, but I'm not going to drop it 50% right off the bat. I'm going to be more incremental about it. So I agree with you in that sense. But if you're not going to focus on the keyword bid, what are your other options?
Yeah, so I appreciate you bringing it up, because I think that a lot of people can be really intimidated depending on how many keywords they have. You know, people really get attached to keywords, and they get attached to this, settings. They're like, no, this is a $5 bid. I've had this for 5 years. I'm not going to drop that.
That is very true. Worked. Yeah, very true.
So alternatives, as Jason alluded to, lower your bids for specific devices. If you have computer bids that are, our computer devices don't convert as well, lower those bids. Certain times of day, historically, don't convert as well for you, or you can't really respond to a phone call at 2 a.m. because you're sleeping. That's going to help your conversion rate to be able to respond to those in proper times whenever your office is actually open. Certain locations may be underperforming. You can either cut those out, which would then raise the response from the areas that you do work well in, and that can help lower your cost per click. You can just lower those location bids. And then, last is audiences, specifically the demographic settings. There's tons of options there for age, gender, what their affinity is, what their in-market audience is. Lots of options there where you can make subtle changes based on their income level, all kinds of stuff that you can make small adjustments here to slowly start chisel away at that cost per click.
And not only is there are there a ton of options with the audiences that you can layer on, and also the demographics, age, and income that you can get data on, but in a lot of cases, Chris, people have been advertising for a very long time. Google Ads is a very dynamic platform. It changes over the years. At some point, those people come to people like us and say, hey, the performance has changed. Can you help us? What can we do? You and I dig into that audience and demographic data. Sometimes there is a ton of data there, and it becomes crystal clear about 18 to 24-year-olds just convert at a much lower rate for your industry.
Yeah.
Lower the bids on them and get more traffic flowing to the older age groups. Chris, you mentioned specific keywords. That's my last question on lower the bids. What do you mean by specific keywords?
So historically, my suggestion on specific keywords is to, instead of pausing a keyword, because we're talking about lowering the cost per click and not just, overall conversion rate. I feel like
that's next week. Yeah.
I feel like pausing a keyword is more of a conversion rate adjustment,
Totally.
where you turn a keyword off completely and then you divert all traffic somewhere else.
It's got nothing to do with the cost per click.
Right. It won't help your cost per click. If you lower the bids on specific keywords that underperform but still do perform, now we're talking about lowering the overall cost per click, therefore lowering your cost per conversion. So, pausing a keyword, that's changing the traffic source, but lowering bids, that's changing the cost per click itself. So that's why it fits into lowering your bid category.
Yeah, and this is a data thing, because if you have a ton of conversion data and for whatever reason, certain keywords have a higher cost per click, but their conversion rate has been about the same as your overall account or other keywords, then you can just lower the bids on specific keywords.
Yeah.
Look at how much volume they're getting. If they're not that much, or if you're not lowering them that much, it's not going to rock the boat too much. It's not going to be that risky, but you can drag down your cost per click and increase your cost per conversion, lower your cost per conversion, which is the goal here. So that's the episode. If you want to lower your cost per conversion and you're specifically focused on cost per click, you lower your cost per click. It's just math. Chris, what possibly else could we be talking about here? How do you go deeper than, if you need to lower your cost per click, you lower your bids? What are the other options here?
There are other options, because not all traffic is created equally. Some traffic is cheaper than others. There is traffic that's cheaper, and that's what our point number 2 is: broaden your targeting. And
a lot of people in certain parts of their body just felt some serious discomfort and became uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Broaden your targeting. What are you talking about, dude? Why don't you act like you're talking with Dynamite here? You're walking with Dynamite. You're on the set of Lost. Stop acting like it's season 8 and you feel like you're never going to be fired. It's season 1.
Season 1.
You just went through the audition. You just humiliated yourself in front of the casting aid reps, and your agent called you and said you got the part, and you're a new pup and you're happy to be here, and you're acting with some seriousness, Chris. Don't you ever talk about broaden the targeting with such loose lips on this show. That is a crazy statement.
Okay.
Broaden your targeting.
Okay.
Calm down.
Talking about the sales funnel. If you move up the sales funnel, if you move into an area that's a little more diverse in the way that people are searching for something, they're searching around the hows and can I and why do's and stuff like that. You absolutely will pay less per click for that traffic. Okay. So you can still capture that person at an earlier part in the funnel, which will be a cheaper capture. Those people might come down the funnel within an hour, 2 minutes, a couple days, and they eventually search these lower funnel keywords.
Or they never might.
Or they may never do. Yeah, they may never come down. But when you focus on these higher volume, cheaper, broader keywords, you can get lower cost per click. And this usually happens by using more relaxed match types, a little more broader match types, broad match, maybe some shorter, more general phrase match keywords.
Yeah. I was about to say, don't underestimate the power of going broad, if you will, with some short phrase keywords. They can really act like broad keywords these days.
Yeah. And it will cost less because, number one, there's more of it, supply and demand. There's more of it, so you will pay less. Number two, there's less competitors on something like that. So you can definitely get by without having to fight for those, scraps at the very bottom of the table. You can go up to the source of where it's all coming from.
So when you're running a plumbing campaign in Fort Worth, Texas, and you've got keywords like plumbers in Fort Worth, plumbers near me, cost for plumbers, emergency plumbers, and you're paying that high cost per click for that really deep in the funnel, ready to buy traffic, and you throw on clogged toilet, you throw on
broken toilet,
you throw on new toilet, new toilet install, where they could be DIY looking for information, but they also could have a clogged toilet. We've all been there this week. And I said, we've all been there.
Okay.
Didn't I? I said, we've all been there.
Yeah, you said that.
We've all been there. And you throw those on, you're going to get a lower cost per click because supply and demand and less competition. But the whole point of this episode, Chris, is to lower your cost per conversion, which higher conversion rate or lower cost per click. Is there a cost in terms of conversion rate to throwing on these keywords? Is it different for every advertiser, so it's always worth trying? Are you concerned about possible risk? Risk is the kind of the name of the game here with this episode. What are the risks of putting higher in the funnel, cheaper keywords to lower your cost per click? They'll do that. Yeah. But what are the possible downsides you're looking for?
Yeah, the downside is that, of course, if you're experiencing a 5% conversion rate with low funnel, highly qualified traffic, and you jump up several levels into searches that are a little more kind of distasteful as far as specific to what you are hoping, the kind of traffic you're bringing to the site, you offset that risk by lowering your bids. The risk is that you'll get a much lower conversion rate, but you offset that with a lower cost per click, and then you can garner cheaper leads, and the whole thing works and it snaps into place when you consider volume. The fact that now, instead of getting for $100 you might get 50 clicks, but now for this higher funnel stuff for $100 you can get 200, 300 clicks, and now throw in that a little bit less conversion rate, you're making money. You're still able to generate these great leads without paying as much per click.
Deep in the funnel, you have a 10% conversion rate. You throw in some higher funnel, looser keywords that bring in looser searches. Your conversion rate goes to 5%. You would think your cost per conversion would double, but it doesn't, potentially, because you get double the amount of clicks, and you can even get more than double and lower your overall cost per conversion. I think your answer was a good example of how cost per click, conversion rate, and then cost per conversion, they're always intertwined. And so, you can throw on these higher funnel keywords. And when you do that, not all the time, but most likely your conversion rate is going to go down. In a vacuum, that would raise your cost per conversion. But if your cost per click is going down further than your conversion rate goes down, then you can then you can get a better cost per conversion. So they all play a role here. So, Chris, as we're in 2022 at the end of it, middle funnel, even high funnel keywords, are you doing this more and more as the platform changes?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, this is probably a topic for a different day, but I find that one of the most chronic ways of killing a successful campaign is by avoiding trying traffic outside of your super narrow funnel. It's effectively starving a campaign.
I have seen some cases where it makes sense to go looser than I would have ever gone in the past. At the same time, I've seen cases where it makes sense to go tighter than I would have ever gone in the past. And as the platform changes, to me, there's not a lot of room for the middle ground. You need to try going very loose often, but sometimes for certain industries, it makes sense to go tighter.
Yeah.
But the point is, as the platform changes, it's going to affect every industry and every advertiser differently. Always try something. You can't just sit in this middle ground of I'm going to put on phrase and exact. I'm going to put on manual bids, and I'm going to leave my bids where they are. No, that's not going to work. You need to evolve. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because the next topic, number 3 here, is absolutely about trying something different. And this time we're talking about trying a different bidding strategy. Okay. So if you are using, it doesn't matter, any of the options, whether it's manual or any of the other automated bid strategies, try a different bid strategy And I can't emphasize this enough. I mean, Jason, you have, and is just as I have, had success with manual bids and then try something with automated bidding and absolutely fails other times and absolutely is a winning change in other situations.
Sometimes it can dominate the performance you get with, and you can never catch it. Yeah.
Just embarrass about what I was doing before and what I'm doing now. I mean, just like a light switch.
That's a real credit to us for as successful as we've been with manual bids, as manual bids has done so much for our lives. And I really mean that. Like, early in our careers, like a lot of what we were doing was manual bidding, and a lot of success came from that. The fact that we could evolve and actually get out of what's made us so successful and branch out from that when needed, that is a credit to us. Go ahead, Chris. Take a little pat on your back. I'd do it for you, but we're in different places. Yeah.
There we go. That felt good.
Changing your bidding strategy, that is dude, what are you talking about? Now I built you up, I'm going to bring you back down. Chris, please, like, don't say that without talking about the risk and how to do it properly.
Okay, that's a good point. Absolutely. There is a ton of risk, and I do advocate for using the experiment feature. I think doing it
when you're changing your bids and you like your results.
If you got it. Let's say a person's successful. They've been successful with a campaign for years with a certain cost per conversion, and they're like, I wonder if I can squeeze a little more out of this. I am in no way saying go from your current bidding strategy and just cold turkey it into a different one. Absolutely can destroy everything, and don't come hunting for me. I mean, Jason's he's a lot slower. You can catch him a lot faster. The idea is proceed very carefully and try a different bidding strategy. Max clicks, you have an ability to put a cap on the CPC. You can manually lower that CPC. Target impression share, you can set a target impression share percentage, and there's another option for you to set a max CPC limit on that target impression share. These are the kind of things that you can do with a different bidding strategy where nothing would necessarily be changed, except now you can cap that CPC and lower that CPC. Same traffic quality, same everything else, just lower that CPC.
Yeah, so definitely do it in experiment. That's the way we do it when we change our bidding strategy, when we think there's a chance we want to keep what we have in place or it's going to perform better. You run it with an experiment, and that's a really good idea to kind of shake up the results and see. So Chris, it brings up the question, would you do this, change the bidding strategy to get a lower cost per click, to thus get a lower cost per conversion experiment? Would you do that when you're like, I think changing the bidding strategy can get me a lower cost per conversion and I need a lower cost per conversion? Or does it just kind of always make sense, because it's a controlled environment, the experiment, to from time to time always run an experiment with a different bidding strategy? It's a fixed place where you can't hurt the original campaign because you can always turn the experiment off. Does it make sense to always try that, maybe like once a year on a long-term campaign, change the bidding strategy in an experiment, see if you can get a lower cost per click and a lower cost per conversion? Does that make sense?
I think that's a great point. And I would get behind that. I would say that you don't necessarily need to only change things because you're unhappy, but changing things and testing things with an experiment is absolutely a healthy thing to do, no matter where you are, because you never know. So great point.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. We're going to have a little dance break. There's one final way to lower your cost per click to get a lower cost per conversion, and it has to do with quality score, and we'll be talking about that right after this break.
Welcome back. I want to remind you about our sponsor, Optio. You can get a 2-month free trial, 8 weeks, 60 days of this amazing complete toolkit for Google Ads managers. This is a tool that was not built for those other Facebooky kinds of things. This is a real Google Ads tool for the network that matters the most, the network that gets things done. This is for Google Ads management, and you're going to get all kinds of amazing features that can help you save time managing all your accounts. Or if you have one account, it's a very price-friendly method of just having some inspiration and getting things done in your account, where you start to just kind of dead-eye your account. You're just looking at it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This is an inspiration tool that you will love, as many, many of our listeners have discovered. And this is why it's our favorite. And that's why we mention it here, optio.com/PSP.
Okay, Chris. So you can, to get a lower cost per click, to get a lower cost per conversion, you can lower your bids. You can broaden your targeting. You can try a different bidding strategy in an experiment. The fourth thing you can do is you can improve your quality score. Why don't you explain what quality score has to do with your cost per click?
Quality score is it's like the dinosaurs that died, okay? And then they got covered with dirt. And what they did is they established the fuel that makes our economy run. I mean, oil. And it's the organic matter that you used to drive to work today. Quality score started as an idea, and it is now the basis of what Google Ads runs on. It is a simple formula of the fact that you have better quality score, you will pay less per click. So we're really going back to the heart of how you really can get a better cost per click. And a lot of people, it's a very foreign kind of idea. You think, oh, how do I improve my quality score? Well, I mean, we've done so many things and so many topics about this, but the fact is that quality score is going to be best when you follow the Google Ads best practices. You put things into ad groups, and you try and match the keyword with the search term, which then matches to the ad copy, which then matches to the landing page. That's what we're talking about here. And all of this will make sure that you rank higher. You'll rank higher and have to pay less. It's a whole ranking formula. It's called Ad Rank, and that's what quality score is about. And it's really the pinnacle of success in Google Ads is to have a premium ad rank, and you don't have to pay in order to achieve that. You can do that through a very strong quality score.
Yeah, ad rank is made up of quality score times your bid, maybe some other things as well, but that's the core of it. And ad rank determines who shows up, and the highest ad rank gets the highest position.
Yeah.
The higher your quality score, because it's quality score times bid, the lower your bid needs to be to get that same ad rank. So the lower you have to bid, the lower your cost per click. So would it make sense in 2022, Chris, to tell people about quality score being made up of ad relevance and landing page experience and expected click-through rate, what those are and how much control you have over some of them, and adding those columns and tracking it day to day and minute by minute and second by second and millisecond by millisecond, dreaming about it at night? Or does it just make more sense to say, offer people what they're looking for on Google Ads better than anybody else, and make sure it's a seamless experience from the time they come up with the thought to search for something, they search for something, they see your ad, they go to your website, and even offline, they have a good experience with you as a customer? Doesn't it just make more sense to say, run a good business and then present yourself the right way to get in front of the right people?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love the way that you describe that, where you're like, hey, look down this road. It's absolute confusion, madness, and you're going to pull your hair out. You're going to hate where this takes you because there is no conclusion. There is no concrete answer down the road of micro quality score management. You will find dead ends where you're like, I did this, and all it did was get me a lower quality score on this one, but it raised it on this one. Try and explain that. You won't. You'll continue to be baffled by the stupid things that happen, and it's not meant for you to understand. It is a tool for Google to help qualify the traffic that's coming through, qualify the keywords. It's not meant for you. It is just a guide to help you understand, hey, this is a 2 quality score. Maybe you need to look at it. It's the fact is, Jason, you're completely right. It's based on following the simple premise that when people are searching for something, give them the best, most qualified ad that they can see. Make sure that that ad is associated with the right keywords in the right ad group. And you're taking them to a landing page that's relevant, and it's a linear path of relevancy from the beginning to the end, and you'll have success. And honestly, Jason, should we say that even if you have crappy quality score, you can still be successful? Should we tell people that? Can we be that truthful?
Yeah, you can. And beyond that, it gets even worse for some people's mindset. Sometimes you will always have a crappy quality score on certain keywords.
Preach it. Absolutely.
Yeah. But the things that are in your control, to the extent we discussed, the cost per click and the conversion rate, those two things affect your cost per conversion. We talked about cost per click today. Next week we will be talking about conversion rate. Chris, you've got some homework, because that is a very complicated topic, and that's a topic where you could go in 1,000 different directions.
Yeah.
But what I want to know are, what are the things that can actually move the needle with conversion rate and really get the job done in a simple way? That's what we'll be looking for next week. Okay,
I got it. I'm up to the task. I will put my nose to the grindstone. Once I figure out what a grindstone is and figure out how to use it, and then I'll put my nose to it, and then I'll burn my nose and rub the skin off, because you're not supposed to put your nose on it. But I don't know that because I don't use a grindstone.